Por fin, dita sea. Yo no sé qué está pasando últimamente con los programas de streaming, Streamlabs especialmente, que lo único que hace es frizarse. No sé. Pero nada, le puse una pausita a Bow. Estamos metiendo la Bow bien, pero bien serio. Yo había visto gameplay, había visto final preview, había visto de todo. Y yo, ok, se ve cool, pero jamás pensé que iba a estar tan bueno. No les voy a mentir. Son 4 regiones, hasta donde tengo entendido. Y llevo alrededor de 40 horas ya en las primeras 2 regiones. Ya estoy para terminar la segunda región. Creo que encontré todo lo que se podía encontrar en la región. Hice todos los sidequests hasta el momento que aparecen. Así que voy para la parte final para proseguir. Nada, pero estoy esperando este jueguito. No voy a mentir. Expedition 33. Y tiraron un trailer. Aquí está el de Clear School. By the way, está viendo todo lo que había por ahí. A ver qué encontraba. Vamos a verlo aquí. No, este es el gameplay. Y este es el final preview. No le voy a mentir. Por lo que he visto, me llama la atención. Yo espero que esta hora no venga a ser ahí.
Years ago.
Ok, vamos allá. Si no espero que se venga a tirar el anuncio. No les voy a mentir. Este jueguito para mí tiene un vibe visual a lo que viene siendo como el Den Ring. Un turn-based. Hace tiempito yo no juego un turn-based. Y este año creo que me voy a aventurar. Este año me voy a aventurar a jugar un turn-based. Va a subir hasta gameplays del turn-based. ¿Por qué no? ¿Por qué no hacer más gameplays? ¿Sabe? Este Game Pass tiene tanto que es una ridícula. Vamos a ver esto. Vamos a ver el final preview, que hay un gameplay también, by the way. Y tengo que verlo.
A few years later, a writer I deeply respect,
no sé quiero.
Perhaps the difference between good and great writing is technique, though even that was probably not as important as conviction. But what keeps us invested in a story is curiosity, the gap between what we know and
el mapa
what
se
we
ve
need
súper
to know,
lindo,
the questions
sabe,
that drive us.
el exploration.
Combine all 3 and you tend to create something special. Each and every one of us has played a game that grabbed us from the jump, that connected with us in some unexpected way, a game that surprised us, whose belief in itself was obvious from the first frame, that made us want to explore.
No le voy a mentir, ¿sabe? Este jueguito tiene side quests, voces adicionales, así como el de Enrito. Yo quiero meterle. Tengo ganas de meterle, no sé por qué me llamó tanto. Hace tiempo un turn-based no me llama tanto. Está más en los exploration, crafting. ¡Qué lindo! ¡Qué lindo se ve ese universo! O sea, es que se ve lindo en verdad. By the way, en que estamos viendo esto en HD, no llega a 4K, no. Qué pena.
Believe me when I tell you, that's some powerful magic.
Expeditioners, we do not take for granted that you dedicate your final year of life to keeping hope alive for all of Lumiere.
If you're unfamiliar, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 has a pretty fascinating setup. See, there's this being called the Paintress, and every year she paints a new number. When she does, every person of that age dies. Poof, vanishes, turns to dust. Do not pass go, do not collect $200.
¿Qué? Hay un ente que escribe un número y
and the thing is, she's counting down. Every year, the people dying get younger. So every year, the people of Lumiere send a volunteer expedition of people with 1 year left to live on a desperate, impossible, doomed mission to go to the continent across the sea and kill the Paintress so she can never paint death again.
You battle the Paintress.
Nice. Se escucha bien.
You'll find journals from Expedition 84.
Esta entity escribiendo 34. Se fueron todos los de 33. Se fueron todos. ¿Qué?
So if you can do the math in your head, you'll get how desperate this whole thing is and how young, but still older than the average RPG protagonist, your characters are.
Learn from the ones who came before.
And lay the trail for the ones who come after.
Things get weirder once your crew lands on the continent. They almost immediately run into an old man who nearly dispatches the whole expedition single-handedly.
¿Qué?
You
Esto es
play as
flow
Gustav,
anime.
one of the survivors, traumatized and alone, walking through countless corpses from other expeditions and his own. He's about to shoot himself when he's found by Lune, another member of the expedition.
You do that, we both die.
She's not blind to reality. They're probably both going to die. But expedition
Este
members
juego va a
swear
ser otra
off.
cosa.
When one
Este juego va a
falls,
ser otra
we
cosa.
continue.
As long as one of them stands, their fight isn't over. Lune and Gustav clearly care about one another, but they don't always get along. When they find an unsigned message indicating another member of Expedition 33, Mael, might still be alive, Gustav wants to drop everything and try to save her, and then get out of Dodge. Lune is worried that the whole thing is a trap. Expedition members are always supposed to sign their messages.
We have to go.
No. Not yet.
At one point later on, Lune asks Gustav if he's a coward because he just wants to get Mael and get out.
No me
He's
spoilees
not.
tanto,
He's
pero
just
está bien,
dealing
está-
with watching almost everyone he knows die. And Lune
Storytelling está súper engaging. ¿Sabes? La trama va escribiendo números, va bajando las edades, son más jóvenes. La desesperación encuentra este tipo que se quiere matar. Es como que, ¿qué? ¿Y qué vamos a hacer? ¿Subir de level? Más loot. Necesitamos algo para pelear con ese corillo. ¿Qué necesitamos? Loot. Y por eso yo voy a llegar también.
she's the one that said they should land
Obvio.
on that beach in the first place. Neither one of them has it easy. These characters are adults and they're written like it.
Come on, we always said the future of Lumiere is more important than
Any individual life, yes.
Do you still believe that?
They don't always agree. They're dealing with guilt and loss and trauma, and they're not always kind to one another in the heat of the moment. But they care about each other, and at the end of that exchange, once they've calmed down, they share a laugh.
The mission. Really?
Compelling characters
the
are
what?
complex and flawed, and Expedition 33 seems to understand that.
Fucking mission. Into the bridge. Vamos a ver.
Even if they weren't,
Ya estamos a la
Expedition
isla de este
33
jueguito,
could
si no me
probably
equivoco.
skate by on the world. My demo was fairly linear. There were branching paths with hidden grapple points, platforming, goodies, and secrets to find, and tough optional bosses to take on. But this isn't an open world game, and it's better for it. Expedition 33 reminds me of Final Fantasy X. These environments may be linear, but they're gorgeous, whether you're standing atop a hill looking at the indigo tree, or both underwater and somehow not. Expedition 33 is a visual feast.
Qué
And I
lindo
stopped
se
in
ve.
every environment I entered to marvel at the beauty and composition on display.
Qué lindo
There's
se ve
even
este
a
juego.
world map you traverse to get from place to place, like the RPGs.
Mira el
of old.
world map. Qué lindo. Este
This'll
juego
be
se ve
useful.
lindo.
What really hooked me,
Obviamente.
however, was the combat. Claire Obscure may be turn-based, but it's not a DVD menu. There's a lot of depth here. Every character has a melee and ranged attack, the latter of which must be aimed manually.
Esto me da un vibe.
Melee attacks build AP, and ranged
Flow Brave
attacks spend it.
Frontier.
You'll also need AP for skills.
Y no me
unique
está
attacks that
gustando.
each character has in their
Me
arsenal.
voy a volver
And on top of that,
adicto a
each
esto.
character has a particular attribute. Gustav can use certain skills to build up stacks of overcharge, which he can spend to cash out for a devastating attack. Lune's spells grant elemental stains that can supercharge
El
her
combat.
other spells
Miren
for
ese
additional
combat.
effects and damage.
Hace tiempo
And
yo
my
no veo un
A mí me
turn-based
gustaría
tan
que tú me dijeras
lindo.
¿Cuál es el sentido? ¿Cuál es el sentido? Porque yo no le he sentido ganar
La real.
$100
Hace
al
tiempo,
año.
hace tiempo yo no veo un
Favorite
combat
male,
tan
you do
lindo
rescue
en
her.
un
This
turn-based.
isn't a spoiler. She's in Claire Obscure's trailers. Can switch between 3 different stances, offering buffs to attack, AP generation, and defense.
Uf. Aquí vamos a tener que otra vez coger tutoría. Nos va a pasar como POV.
Managing your AP, setting up a big combo, and planning ahead matters. Like
Me gusta
FF10,
cómo se ve
the turn order is
visualmente.
displayed on the left side of the screen.
Esto es
you
como
can plan
jugar
every turn in
Un
advance,
Elden
but
Ring
strategy is only
turn-based.
half the battle.
Mírenlo. Niéguenmelo.
The other half is moment-to-moment
Nice.
execution. You don't just choose an option and wait for a canned animation
bam,
to play
perfect.
out. When an enemy
Up,
attacks you,
healing,
you can dodge,
parry.
parry, or jump to avoid it.
Nice.
Dodging avoids attacks, while parrying nets you a potentially huge counterattack and awards AP, but has a tighter window. Sometimes the only way out is to jump over something.
Up.
Sure, you can engage in the time-honored tradition
combate
of
se ve
blocking
demasiado
with your
lindo.
face, but the harder fights are going to force you to engage with these defensive
¿Qué?
mechanics. And if you parry an attack that hits your whole
Este es un
squad,
Elden
all of them
Ring.
strike back in a beautifully
Turn-based.
choreographed counterattack.
Qué inteligente
that never
este
gets old.
corillo.
Early on, I ran into a very powerful enemy who could kill my characters in a single hit. But the thing was,
nice.
He had to hit me. If I could parry him, I could win. It took me a couple tries on my first run. He had a tricky attack that forced me to parry or dodge twice in a row, but once I figured out I could parry the first hit and dodge the second, I managed to take him down.
Los bosses tienen dinámica. No es que vas a venir y... me repele con este ya, sí es fácil.
Then there's the back-end stuff
dinámica.
Like Pictos and Luminas. You can equip up to 3
miren cómo se ve
Pictos
eso.
to any character, which provides
Miren lo
buffs,
lindo
like
que se
shooting
ve
this
eso.
enemy might light them on fire, or attacks do more damage, or killing an enemy grants more AP, as well as stat upgrades. Win enough battles with a Picto equipped, and you can have everyone else equip its effects, minus the stat bonuses. And this is where you can do some really degenerate stuff. Sure, Mael has a skill that puts her in Virtuo's stance, where she does 200% damage, if she uses it while an enemy is burning. Normally, you'd have to have somebody use another skill to set this up, but what if you gave Gustav and Lune a Lumina that means their ranged attacks are likely to set enemies on fire? Or maybe you equip a Picto that cranks up your base attack damage, or that awards more AP for nailing a parry, allowing you to stay on the offensive longer than you'd normally be able to. Then you're cooking with gas.
Palabra fina. No es que vas a jugar al garete. Las combis.
Combine all of that
entre
in
los
battles
compañeros,
off
como
of a
ataca,
variety
todo
of
va a influir.
choices. If someone's low on health, do you spend an item or AP to bring them back up? Or do you bet it all on dodging or parrying the next attack? How do you level up your characters? Who gets what skill as a Picto so they can stack the right stats and they don't have to spend Lumina points to get that effect? And on and on.
La pregunta es, ¿podremos hacer respect?
Expedition 33
es importante para mí. Poder hacer respect.
What's a Gestrel and why is Lune obsessed with them? Who is the Paintress and what
Esta historia va a estar dura.
does she want? Why is the world the way that it is?
Esta
Are all these
historia va a
beings
estar
actually
dura.
hostile? Some of them seem pretty friendly, and you have the option to fight them or leave them alone. What's the deal with that old man? How does any of this stuff
Vamos a tratar de pelear
In
con
my
todo el
demo,
mundo.
Clair Obscura Expedition 33 didn't stop
Todo
to
el
explain
mundo.
itself,
Queremos
and
todo
I
el loot.
appreciated that. It trusted me to figure things out, and I was more invested in what was going
juego se ve
on
muy
as a
lindo.
result. Most
No voy a mentir.
importantly, I could never predict what would happen next. By the time "Thank you for playing" came up on my screen at the end of my demo, I was thoroughly hooked.
El
On my
vibe.
second run through, I found even more hidden areas, and laid the smackdown in one of the optional fights that had
Miren
flummoxed me the first
esos
time
bosses.
around.
Nice.
When my time with Clair Obscura Expedition 33 was
Y la
up,
música.
I wasn't ready to stop. I wanted to fight more battles, learn more about the world, and
Mucho
spend more
clásica,
time with
pianito.
these characters. Sandfall Interactive is a new studio, but you'd never know this was their first game from playing it. Surprise, conviction, curiosity. Clair Obscura Expedition 33 nails all three. It had my interest before I played it.
Este es el
Now
primer
it has
juego
my
de este
undivided
corillo. Este es el primer juego de este corillo. ¿En serio? Este corillo parece que le mete. Y es su primer juego. Wow, ¿qué es esto? ¿Qué es esto? Vamos a ponerlo aquí al lado para verlo después. Esto no sé qué es. Vamos a ponerlo aquí al lado para verlo después. Yo no sé ustedes. Pero yo voy directo a ver el próximo gameplay. Que tiraron. De Expedition 33. Porque yo estoy con las ganas. Tengo que avanzar con Abou. Ya lo sé. Por ahí viene más. Ya lo sé. Los veo, cariño. No es bien seguirnos.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.